Wikipedia, Angel's Egg is described as a Japanese animated experimental post-apocalyptic science fantasy OVA. And yeah, that sounds about right. The film was a collaboration between Mamoru Oshii and Yoshitaka Amano, the former bringing his signature directing skills and the latter his art style and general tone and atmosphere. The visuals are stunning and very distinctly Amano, which is fascinating as initially the film had been planned by just Oshii as a Lupin III film. Amano was a potential part of that film, but as it was never made, he never was. Imagine being a fly on the wall as they converted happy-go-lucky Lupin into the melancholy dreamscape that is Angel's Egg. Only a few elements of that Lupin script made it into Angel's Egg, which is not hard considering it's a sparse movie. It has very little dialogue and leaves you sitting in the world, observing each movement in the barren, cluttered landscape. The buildings seem to have been pulled from 19th century France, but where they are now is left up to the viewer. The 71-minute runtime holds within it around 660 words or so, barely 150 unique words in total, and neither Angel or Egg is the most said one. For context, this entire section of our video on Angel's Egg contains 686 words. Here is the entire script as a word cloud, which is an equally avant-garde way to experience the movie outside of just watching the movie. The word angel does not appear at all, which could be a fascinating thing to analyze, but maybe we'll do that later in another video with more time devoted to it. 5 eggs, but 9 birds to look after them, and a few dozen loose, lonely jumbles of words that barely add context to the beautiful imagery they reside in. Equally, you could see them as pins holding up the fabric of the OVA, with the drapes in between flowing differently for each person on each watch. There is texture to Angel's Egg in the loose lines of hair and the rough fibre of paper. It is somehow both a product, so of its medium, yet so deep you can barely see it as anything except the world it wishes to show you. Any synopsis of this film is a single bare sentence or maybe two, that describes an approximation of what events happen, yet summarizes nothing at all. The OVA was highly praised on release, but a commercial failure, and left Oshii struggling to get any directorial work for a few years after. One critic of the time was Hayao Miyazaki, who worried it was too personal, and another was Oshii's own mother, who thought it was the end of his career. But much like a lot of avant-garde projects, it's now considerably more appreciated in hindsight, and even got a theatrical re-release in 2025 for its 40th anniversary. This included a dub into English, which we did not watch, only in part because we filmed that episode of OVA Hell about a week before it was available, and mostly in part to capture what makes OVAs so appealing. That being exposure to a whole world of stories that are so overtly not made with you in mind that you have to scrounge for a text file to